That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Connor will introduce you. I'm sorry, I should have gone over that. My
Great,
bad.
just great.
I know. I'm wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even recording a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. Tonight, we're talking Hawkeye. We're talking Hawkeye's boring family, and we've got Conner Nielson on board for the fun. How you doing, Connor?
I'm doing well. Pretty, apt timing for them to drop 2 episodes. I know it got dropped the day before Thanksgiving, but I watched it the day after Thanksgiving, so I am full on in Christmas mode now.
Right. You know what? I'm gonna let you guys. I'm gonna put myself out of the equation. Let myself go last. Connor, first of all, happy to have you, man. Happy to have you. It's been we tend to try and get you in at least once on every one of these MCU shows. So we got you on the premiere this time. So good timing.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me. Even though I'm always kind of the grouch when it comes to these.
I have a feeling that
Or the Grinch to be seasonal.
I have a feeling that this is I don't know. I'm worried to talk about this one, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know what, Connor? I'll throw it to you. What do you think overall about this episode? The first 2.
Okay, yeah. It was funny actually when I saw. I knew that this show was going to be 6 episodes. And I looked up the day it was coming out, and I realized, well, I know this is a Christmas-themed show, but if they put out one a week, starting on the 24th, then the last episode comes out after Christmas. And then, on the day before Thanksgiving, I saw that there was 2 episodes dropped, so that kind of makes sense, so they can wrap it up before Christmas. So I guess I should probably just kind of, as you do, put into context how you feel about the other MCU shows. So basically where I'm at is I thought WandaVision was, half of it was pretty good. The other half I hated. I thought that Falcon and the Winter Soldier belongs in a special pit of bad superhero media, like along with like the theatrical cut of Justice League and Suicide Squad. I think that show is just awful from beginning to end. And then I think that the Loki show is really, really bad. It's like nonsensical. It makes absolutely no sense, and it is one of the worst structured television shows I've ever seen. And I thought What If was just a complete blunder, but it had a couple of good episodes in there. Well, okay. It had a good episode. It had a couple of all right episodes, and most of it, though, was pretty hard to watch for me. So the last 3, what I would call the last 3 Marvel shows, I would call them nonsense, like complete nonsense. And when it comes to this Hawkeye show, it's not nonsense, and that's the good part about it. The downside is it's not much of anything. I wouldn't call this a bad show, but I don't think it's got a lot of blood in its veins. I think that it's a kind of a split protagonist story, and the characters themselves don't really, I don't think really lend themselves very well to being protagonists. Certainly not Clint Barton, whose characterization I think is a little confused. I don't think the people making this really know what to do with him. And then you have Kate Bishop, who this show is so lucky they got Haley Steinfeld, because I think were it not for her, I would not like this character. But because of how talented of a performer she is, she really brings that character to life, and is really the only spark I'm getting from this show. I actually have read a few, I've read like 3 or 4 issues of the Matt Fraction, David Aja run of Hawkeye, that a lot of the show's iconography and kind of branding is built around, and we can get into that later. But overall, I'm kind of lukewarm on this. I would say it's probably my, I don't know, second favorite of these Marvel Disney Plus shows, but I'm still kind of waiting to be won over. Although I do think it has its moments.
All right, Connor, really quick, your mic is still kind of giving us some static, so I don't know if there's a way you could like swap out mics or something. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'll
If
see what I can
not,
do.
we'll just roll with it. But it's not really getting better. But we'll just roll with it if you can't do anything. Dragon, what do you think?
Yeah, so pretty much the opposite of everything Connor said with
Oh
the
boy,
other MCU shows, but that's I'm sorry, just in general. That's kind of we love Connor, but that's just kind of where we stand
Connor's
on
hot coffee,
things.
man. that's
Yeah.
what you brand him as.
Or in his case, lukewarm coffee. Anyway, no, I kid. But yeah, I've been feeling the Disney Plus MCU stuff, but particularly Hawkeye was very much looking forward to it, and because I had read I never have the first two volumes of the Hawkeye collection, but I think it's the primarily the Matt Fraction stuff, and then I forget if they changed writers or changed artists or something after that. But point being, I'm familiar with the story they're adapting here. I'm not up to date on it because I reread it before the show. That was a few months ago. So I recognize characters and recognize the references just in term and the holiday setting and everything. But there are differences and all that sort of stuff. I don't want to bore you with the minutia there. Point being, I was I was very impressed with it. From the get go, and I'm still very much on the hook with it. Going into episode 2, obviously, I'm a little bit in the bag here because some of my favorite actors are in this show.
Yeah.
But beyond that, yeah, I really like what we're taking. I think we're rounding out the Hawkeye character quite nicely with what we've done with him in the MCU. We're seeing him in the aftermath of Endgame really well. Again, Haley Steinfeld killing it as Kate Bishop. I think bringing a lot of fun into the role, no question. And yeah, I just like it's a very simple story of Clint Barton trying to hang out with his kids and all this stuff's getting in the way around the holidays. He just wants to get home for Christmas in time. Just he wants to keep his promise to his kids, and he's taking responsibility for kind of the mess that he kind of kind of caused during his grief period during Endgame. So now he's trying to set everything straight. He's trying to fix everything. The world's just kind of is kind of turning him into Charlie Brown this holiday season. Only Charlie Brown with a bow and arrow to kick the crap out of Russians. But yeah, I'm very wowed by it. I'm having a great time with it. I'm so happy with the way with the way it's going to time out. With the fact that we're gonna time out right before Christmas, just like Hawkeye. So, the idea we're counting down the episodes is really exciting to me because so far, I mean, it is tracking. We were at 6, now we're at 5. So it's probably gonna be a day each episode, if it quite possibly. I don't know.
I did notice that. I do like that framing device if they stick to it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of positive response to this one compared to kind of the arbitration of people being very split on the other shows. So I don't know. I think I got a good feeling. I think Hawkeye is going to be the one to kind of break through, and people are going to, I think, collectively come together a little more over than the other ones have been. That's just kind of a feeling I get, but we'll see. I guess.
All right. Got John Kelling. He says he's eating pizza in honor of Hawkeye and Hawkeye.
No. That's from the comic, Tiki. That's the gag. So Grills, who you meet in episode 2, he is Hawkeye's neighbor in the comics, and the running gag is he keeps calling him the wrong name. He keeps calling him Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. That's
and
funny.
the dog is called Pizza Dog, and from the comic as well, Lucky the Pizza Dog.
All right. Yeah, I thought this was an okay start. I think out of the three of us, I'm probably the most negative, but that being said, I want to give it the big ol' asterisk that I think it has a lot of potential to be more exciting as it goes along. I think these 2 episodes were, more or less a lot of setup. I think a lot of stuff is just kind of going over my head just a little bit. Like if I knew more about the Vera Farmiga and Tony Dalton characters from the comics, I might be more intrigued by that plot line. Instead, it's more just oh, I like the actors and they're doing good stuff. All right, but I'm not really feeling the characters so far. I don't know. I'm just tired of this MCU banter, man. I'm tired. I literally with the Kate Bishop and Jeremy Renner, just their back and forth. I just want to take a nap. That's how I feel. I don't know.
That's your response? I just want to take a nap. What kind of grandpa response is that?
Dragon, I am so over this like back and forth witty banter dialogue. I'm not even gonna hide it anymore, guys. I feel like a bit of MCU fatigue is coming on for me, and I don't think that what's going on with No Way Home, I don't want to drag that into the conversation, but it is kind of like in the air of the community right now. The spoiler community for that is just, it's really getting to me, and I don't know. I really should like this more than I did, but I gotta be honest with you guys. This is just me giving my honest take. I was just kind of like mildly amused throughout most of this. Like this had the feeling of like, it sucks to say this. It sucks to say this. It felt like a non-Daredevil Marvel Netflix show.
Oh, you.
It sucks to say that, but that's the best. That's the best comparison.
Oh man, come on.
Well, with the Vera Farmiga stuff, it ain't as bad as Iron Fist, but I can see where you're coming from, Tiki. Like,
I'm not saying it's Iron Fist bad. I'm certainly not saying it's Iron Fist bad. It's more like kind of like middle of the road Jessica Jones, So it's like, I don't know. Like I said, I think it has the potential as we ramp up into the holiday shenanigans. I will say this. I don't give two craps about this red jumpsuit mafia, whatever. I don't care if they're from the comics. I don't care if they're a big deal from the comics. To me, they're just like, they're like stereotypical Russian foot soldiers, and I'm not intimidated by them in the slightest.
But what about they're not supposed to? They're the bros. That's their whole shtick. They're non-scary Russians.
I don't know. The LARP scene. The LARP scene is something that I should have loved because I am in that world. But instead, it just felt really pandering, and that, to me, was the most that this felt like Iron Fist, was the LARP scene.
Oh, come on. Iron Fist would have been lucky to have a LARP scene. Come on, man.
There's something about, like, I will say this. They nailed the Rogers the Musical out of the park. They nailed that. That was everything I wanted it to be. And honestly, like everything with Clint interacting with his kids, the I'll be home for Christmas of it all, the little that we see of Linda Cardellini this episode, like all that is good. Haley Steinfeld is like, I agree with Connor that I really feel like it's just her as an actress being charismatic, because the character I don't really care about. It's like she's introduced as like, hey, look at me. I'm gonna do destruction of pride. Guys, I'm an old man who's screaming at these kids to get off my lawn at this point. I don't know what to tell you. The whole introduction of look how cool I am. I can cause a bunch of public damage to a school bell. Ew.
See, right now you sound like Carl Fredrickson.
I don't know what this voice I'm doing is. I don't know where I'm pulling this voice from.
See, right now you're Carl Fredrickson towards the beginning.
At me, I'm Kate Bishop. All right. God, I have no idea where I'm getting that from.
No idea.
I will say, I feel like this is very consistent with the Disney Plus MCU stuff so far. The ground level of the event, that cold open, that was great. That was great. I have a couple nitpicks about the CGI there, some lighting issues, felt a little green screeny, but I'm just an asshole in that regard. Just conceptually, it worked great. I love seeing all that. I love seeing Kate Bishop's, like kind of the hero moment with Hawkeye. P-Wolf says, what did I just walk into?
Yep, just Tiki being early Carl Fredrickson versus like Doug Days Carl Fredrickson, which would have been delightful, but I don't
know, man. I like I said, Haley Steinfeld, she's great, but it's like I don't want to just give this character a pass because of the performance. It's like I'm not getting a lot out of the character, and it's honestly sort of the same thing with Vera Farmiga. Like Tony Dalton, I will say, out of the three of them, he's definitely the most magnetic. Like I am the most into that character. I kind of dig the layers that they're building with him. Vera Farmiga is just, she's fine. Like, I don't know. I gotta be honest with you, Dragon. She's not really wowed me all that much in a lot of stuff.
Just started!
Bates Motel. I know. I'm just saying in general, she kind of just seems to be on that sort of like, the Conjuring sort of autopilot in the first couple episodes. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too into this, but like I said, I do think it has the potential to get better as it goes along. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't need to like totally bring down the room.
No, it's okay.
Um,
Where do we want to go? How do we
Okay, well,
structure this conversation?
well, let's start with episode 1. So, Tiki, throw out the banner.
I forgot about the banners for. What's the name of episode 1, Dragon? I'm sorry.
Never meet your heroes. Anyway.
So, regarding this first episode,
yes,
I think that I got to be honest, I was really surprised these first 2 episodes were directed by the same person, because I knew that some of these episodes are directed by one guy, and the other episodes were directed by a duo called Bert and Bertie.
Yeah, they're going to be writing I believe they're writing the new Deadpool movie. If I'm right,
Ooh.
they're the Bob's Burgers writers. I think.
Okay, well, so when I saw that let me pull up what his name is, but when I saw that the first episode was directed by Rhys Thomas, I thought, oh, okay, well, let's see how Bert and Bertie do. And I started the second episode, and I was like, oh, this is clearly directed by someone else. And then it wasn't. It was directed by the same guy. So I don't know. Like, TV is like a whole kind of realm that I'm a little, I wouldn't say completely out of my element on, but I'm very much less educated in television production as opposed to film production. But I don't know, like, I think my biggest issue with this show is I think the way the production sort of adapts to the source material, where I kind of resist how they're doing the dual protagonist approach, where when it comes to Clint, he is a guy who would like rather not be doing this. He would not, it's not that he wouldn't rather be doing anything else. It's just that he would much rather just be hanging out with his family, right? But my issue is that even when he's with his family, he sort of feels a little out of his element and a little like confused, like he doesn't really want to be there. But then when he's not, he kind of is like, I just want to be home for Christmas. So I don't really know what Clint wants, and so it's a little confusing. I think he just kind of comes across as like this curmudgeon-y.
I feel like he wants to be out of the limelight. That's what I read those scenes as, because I really did like the, and I honestly think we're doing it better in this show than we were in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the whole celebrity element of being an Avenger.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that was a component of the book. Yeah, go on.
But the point is, like, we have the mirror of Kate Bishop, who just wants to be involved, right?
Look at me, I'm Kate Bishop.
And it's just sort of like, it's a little bit of whiplash where I don't think the tone is really struck right between, I gotta do this, and oh boy, I gotta do this.
I didn't really feel the urgency in Kate's story.
Yeah, and I think that might just have to do with, like, I think if you told this from one perspective or the other primarily, and you were just kind of with them at every scene of the show.
Like if Hawkeye didn't pop up until the end of the first episode?
Maybe. Or if it was just about Hawkeye, like Clint. If it was just about him. Like, it's like, I think about, like, it could be like a sort of comedy of errors where, okay, all I got to do is get the thing to the thing, and then you get the thing, and then all of a sudden something else comes up. It's like, oh my gosh, okay,
right,
I gotta do this thing. And then if it was like always like a new thing where you kind of, it would be kind of funny too. But I also think just on a production level, this show is really shiny and glossy, and I think that's kind of a mistake. It should look more, I don't know. I don't want to say like gritty and grisly or whatever, but like if it looked more like a
Die Hard feel almost.
Well, no, if it looked more slapdash and independent and less like glossy and highly produced, I think that would kind of play in its favor because
why didn't they get Shane Black on this thing?
Well, I mean, even like lower than Shane Black, like I'm talking. I mean, I don't want to say like Richard Linklater, who makes his movies for like $5,000.
Yeah.
But something more like that, where you're using more handheld stuff, and and I don't know, like it's one of those things where I have read the Matt Fraction stuff, and what's kind of funny about his run is the tone is great, where it does feels like what if Batman Year One didn't take itself so seriously.
So it's like you have like violent people and like criminals and like gangs and domestic abuse, and you have like all these like real issues, but it's kind of treated with this it's just my job kind of way of treating it that is kind of relatable, and it makes Hawkeye feel like you're blue collar superhero. You know what I mean? And I like that, and I feel like if you get devoted more screen time to Clint and just kind of fleshed him out, and like maybe had the production mirror kind of his, chip on the shoulder kind of character, like I think this could have been a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I went on there for a long time.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I don't know with Kate. It's just like I just feel like like I said, like we've already established, I don't need to do the silly voice again. I'm not a fan of the way that she's introduced, just kind of like being a braggart about like, look how much property damage I can cause.
But that's not how she's introduced, though. She's introduced through the link-up moment at the opening. That's.
And I already said I like that, but I'm just saying, like, her being introduced into the current story and current day, like, the link-up moment is great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying the Haley Steinfeld version of Kate Bishop. But I don't know, like she comes home and Vera Farmiga is, just kind of like the strict mother figure, and I don't know, just none of it really. And Tony Dalton is a little bit intriguing, but like I said, there's no urgency there for me. There's no she stumbles upon, do the silly voice. John Kelly says, do this. Oh, look at me. I'm Kate Bishop. I don't like my mother. My mother is smothering me because I'm Kate Bishop. All right. Yeah. I don't know why that's Kate Bishop's voice, but it's Kate Bishop's voice now.
It's just dumb.
I don't know why it came out. It just, what I like about it, just like kind of naturally just.
That's what I'm saying. I think you go on.
Sorry, we have Sir John in the comments says, "Ahoy hoy, sup homies." Hey there, Sir John. Oh, I don't know who that is, but I just the fact that he's saying ahoy hoy, I don't know. It might be someone that I know in real life. Right. The Broadway musical made Clint really uncomfortable, and the restaurant picking up the bill made him uncomfortable. Before the server comped the meal, he was enjoying. Yeah, and I do really like that element of it. I do, and I don't think it's a matter of Hawkeye not enjoying the time with his kids. I think it's the celebrity factor of it all getting in the way of the family time.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just with Rogers the Musical, just to focus on that for a bit here. So again, I like that. So Clint's trying to move past, the Endgame drama and adjust to the status quo that we're kind of at now, making up for the 5 years he lost with his kids. And we see he's a great father, with Lila, Cooper, and Nate. But we see that him suffering through that play, which is really fun. I know we haven't gotten here, Tiki, but just it's reminiscent of something that's done in Batman Beyond really well. So I'll say that much about it. But the point being, it's just the idea.
Stylistically, it very much feels like if it goes exactly for what it was aiming for. It's essentially if the Avengers was Hamilton.
Yes, but with that too, I love that if you look at. Here's the thing: they went all out with the advertising, yet they cheaped out on the costumes and the research.
Yes, I love that.
I love that. There's like an interesting thing with the inaccuracy of this. All right, the fact
I almost feel like that's kind of like a commentary on how Hamilton's sets are very bare bone when you actually get down to the production of it all.
Like all the costumes stink. So here's the thing. So
especially
Ant-Man,
Hulks, man.
Yes. So Ant-Man being there, it's kind of funny because I like this running gag that, of course, one of the great Hawkeye moments of Civil War is when he fires Ant-Man. Ant-Man is like, yeah, I'm good, Arrow guy, just fire away. So I love that Hawkeye's kind of maybe has a little bit of like, hey, it's Hawkeye, not Arrow guy. Come on, man. And the fact Black Panther's given, it's like the Black Panther's given like I don't care until Endgame, where says okay, I know your name, Clint. So it's the fact that Hawkeye can't catch a break, and the Ant-Man's kind of like the running gag in 2 episodes so far. Just kind of pops up. But the thing is, it's funny because Ant-Man technically is in the original Avengers now because of Endgame when he went back in time. So it's a question of did they not do their research at all?
Ant-Man is the only character who has been in every single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Because
That's
he's
a
tiny.
fact.
Yes. No, but seriously, I do like the ambiguity of like, what is it because it's highly inaccurate or because he did go back in time? Like, did it? Is it a ripple effect where the witnesses? Oh yeah, I saw Ant-Man there briefly.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, on the whole, so that play in general, what really outside just the absurdity of look at how silly they're doing it all up there, but I love the pathos of there.
Hey, it's not the worst theatrical production in the MCU.
True. So, I really like the pathos it's kind of applied to it, where it's kind of, I've heard this kind of great analogy. It's very much like it's making light of the MCU's 9/11, in the form of a play. And again, what the thing that's really eating Clint alive here is the fact that he has, he's seeing Natasha there as well. He's seeing like the girl with like the hair kind of like Natasha's in the theater. He's like looking back on the simpler times that was the first Avengers movie, and Black Widow's there, and he's got some survivor's guilt, and just it's Hawkeye, kind of in the winter of his years, which is why we're making the transition to Kate Bishop. So that's why I like kind of the twofold, kind of like it's Kate. It's very much, again, to harken back, it is kind of a Batman Beyond kind of mentorship, sort of like passing of the torch thing, whereas equally kind of both their stories, but we are ushering in the next generation, but we're seeing kind of our old favorites in the winter of their years. In that regard, like, for example, big thing this episode hit, Hawkeye's hearing loss, which I believe is something is mainly from the comics that they've kind of ushered in here in a really natural way that, yeah, tinnitus is a real thing, kids. A lot of loud noises.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
10 years in the MCU, you're gonna have some hearing problems if you're Hawkeye, because the rest of them are insulated from hearing. I mean, with the exception of Black Widow, who's no longer around, the rest of them are basically immune to hearing loss. Super soldiers, gods, Hulks, and iron suits—they're all gonna be immune to that. Not Hawkeye.
So, Blue, what you're talking about there is like all idea stuff that I do like in theory. My issue with that is like, it's the execution where that is our introduction to Hawkeye. And I guess like the easiest or like the kind of closest thing to compare this to is Iron Man 3, where Tony in that movie is dealing with the like PTSD fallout of the Avengers. But what's good about that movie is that we get to see Tony Stark.
Another Christmas movie.
That's true. But we see like a Tony Stark that we kind of know and love. He's sarcastic. He's kind of quippy. He's just Robert Downey Jr. doing his Tony Stark thing. But then, at the drop of a hat, seemingly random, all of a sudden he gets hit with these panic attacks.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that work, is that the show did a good job of introducing us to the character we know, and then adding that new element, like kind of right off the top, or not right off the top, but after a few minutes, it does a good job of adding that to the stew. This one, though, this is where it was like, I had a hard time trying to nail down the tone of this show, where you get this Rogers the musical, and it's funny, right? Like, it's kind of funny and amusing to see this. And then you're supposed to, like, while you're laughing at it, also go, oh, he's having a hard time dealing with it. And it's like, there's this kind of like push and pull of tones that kind of makes it hard for me to like, and this is why like a first act of something is so important, and why the first act of something is very difficult, is you're establishing everything, the tone, the characters, the plot, all of these things that, will go on to pay off for the rest of your story. And it's just like right off the bat, this is not only our introduction to like one of our protagonists, it's also, I'm still trying to figure out what the tone of this series is, and I'm kind of right off the bat with Clint not getting what's going on there.
Dragon counter.
Well,
I feel like I'm a mediator in the debate, so I'm just going to play that role right now.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad tone shift at all. I don't think, because again, it's the fact that he has a very unique perspective in that audience versus everyone else. The show, again, he's in a very unique state right now. Like, to harken back to kind of the celebrity kind of runner we're also having with him, where he's you know, in the status quo we're at right now, the Avengers are kind of unofficially disbanded. Like he's like one of the very few surviving, you know, members that's around, and he's just kind of you know, trying to put his life back together. And again, apparently, as we find out in this episode, Ronan, no one really found out about that he was Ronan. So you know, there's everyone's just saying, oh yeah, Hawkeye's the Arrow guy. Let's just throw him in there. And you know, later on, we're going to point out, yeah, Hawkeye's just kind of, you know, he's the unpopular Beetle of the group, so to speak. You know, he's.
So I'll say this much. I do think the celebrity stuff was handled better at the dinner scene. The scene where the restaurant owner wants to pay for the meal, saying like, "No, you saved us." I got that, man. I felt that. I agree with Connor about the tone shift. I'm sorry, tone is an issue with me, and I feel like the first watch through, I was just really enjoying the Rogers the Musical stuff because, of course, that's like one of the big things in the marketing that really got me. I love that we were doing it right off the bat. Like, oh boy, I don't have to wait; it's coming right now. So I will admit, I wasn't that thrown off by the tone stuff, but I'm on a rewatch because, like I said, like tone is one of my big things. Uneven tone. That is one of the things that will make or break a movie or anything for me. So yeah, I could see that affecting rewatches.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm just not having that, but that's just where that's at. Anyway, so I want to tail back to the opening because I think that's kind of the thing. It's just not connecting here, and that what I really like what the opening does, obviously, just the fun realization of the whole impending tragedy of the Bishop's kind of family and kind of crisis right now, and of course, oh God, the invasion happens. And I love tying it all to, you know, Hawkeye's kind of money shot and everything with the last era. But I think what we're building here is Derek Bishop dies, and in walks, kind of the new father figure, perhaps at least a mentor figure that could perhaps kind of be a father figure to her, and that she's very much idolized this guy, saved her life as her father died during this crisis. And again, that's kind of led her to be, you know, the trained archer. It's given her like a drive. She's been living to basically, I think the show's been kind of hitting on with, again, like some of the celebrity encounters. Again, Hawkeye's the achievable Avenger. You know, it's very much like I might not be able to be Captain America or Thor, but you know, with the proper training and motivation, and you know, just trying to help out, I could be Hawkeye. So it's giving her something to shoot for. And by the way, with the tower, I just want to get that in here. First of all, I don't know if anyone knows, is Stane Tower. Obadiah Stane, I guess he funded that school, or at least that tower. And so one thing, we shouldn't be that upset that it gets destroyed because, I mean, Stane tried to kill Iron Man. You know, like, screw him.
The one thing that bothered me, and it's just like a total asshole nitpick on a VFX point of view, but when the big Chitauri like ship is flying over the window, there should have been way more of a shadow cast over that window.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think the lighting felt off.
I didn't know you were a lighting expert all of a sudden, but okay. Regardless.
Look, I'm just saying, like, if that sort of thing happened in a theme park ride, you would expect some sort of, like, shadow effect, you know, like how they have it in Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
So, I don't know. It threw me off just a little bit.
In defense of shadows, there are a lot of windows and a lot of, you know, light sources in that apartment penthouse. So, you know, just I don't know. Like I guess I kind of have a similar thing, Tiki, where I didn't like it did look a little like artificial. Like it.
Like I want to emphasize, like I love the moment. I love the plot line. It's all really good. It very much reminded me of one of the strongest WandaVision moments, which is seeing kind of like, you know, seeing everyone come back and kind of like the on the ground zero sort of perspective on that, and this sort of reminded me of that. So I like it. Like I said, there are just one or two VFX things that it just kind of put me out of it just a little bit, but it's mostly just because I'm a curmudgeonly asshole.
Oh, I really think Kate should have sued that school, because really, you mean, anyone who pulls that bell would have come down. Right? That's all she did. All she did was ring the bell with an arrow with a tennis ball on it, okay? So if someone's down there pulling on it, they'd be even worse off. Like 2 tugs and it's going to fall down. That is not her fault. Okay, not
Yeah,
her fault.
again, I just didn't like the whole, like, look at me, I'm Kate Bishop.
Well,
I'm
she
gonna
lost a
just show
bet.
off.
We got to show that she knows archery and she
All right,
learns
all
stuff.
right, all right.
Anyway, let's talk about Eleanor real quick. So Vera Farmiga. Look, I'll admit, here's the parallels I got
They
to
kind
that
of
does
throw us into the deep end with this plot line. Sorry.
Yeah, so here's the thing that's a little reminiscent of that. Again, is maybe not a feather in the cap. Is that I think this is a better version of this, but still, Arrow season 1 compared to everything else that happens in Green Arrow was really great comparatively. But Arrow season 1 did have its problems. One of those problems I felt was the whole Oliver Queen's mother is doing shady stuff. So I think there's a little bit of that here because we know that she's into some shady stuff in this too. I feel this is like a little bit of a better version of that. Hopefully, we'll see where it goes. Obviously, but it's kind of what I'm hoping for. Okay, so she's kind of dealing with some shady business behind the scenes with the Duquesne family. So it's unclear how in the know or not she is really. But I like that, she was, she seems to be a good mother and a businesswoman. She, her whole thing is like security, and she wants to protect her daughter. I thought that was a cool thing, and of course, the big Connors. In case you didn't know, Tiki and I, we love Bates Motel, so it's the fact that Farmiga's in the MCU. At least for me, that's a huge deal. Like, oh God, she's in the MCU.
And then not only that, but I think the cooler thing is the Tony Dalton of it all. I mean, that's just a buffet of in jokes for us, Dragon.
So Jack Duquesne is a big deal because again, that's I'm unsure if we're gonna go end up tying him into Clint Barton or not. I'm getting the sense that we're not, but I don't know. They haven't really met each other officially yet because you think mentioning Duquesne would kind of spark Hawkeye's. If we're doing the circus background in Hawkeye, you think it would have kind of like, wait a minute, I know that guy. But regardless, Jack Duquesne, I love how we're building up the whole swordsman thing. He's got an interest in swords and fencing and everything. So like the moment, like, oh God, the moment Ronin's sword was on the auction block, I got really excited. Like, oh God, we're gonna give the swordsman Hawkeye's sword. That's cool. So and of course the whole family thing, the family strife with Tony Dalton here with the Armand Senior thing. We have Simon Cowell playing Armand the Third, who was Jack Duquesne's uncle. Which, by the way, I love Simon Cowell, man. That guy was great in Bob the Butler. I don't care what anyone says. He was so great. He was so great in that, and when he pops up and stuff, it's fun to see that happen. So I thought he was kind of. It's the fact he's like just very coming clean to Kay. Like, yeah, I don't like your mother. I don't like this marriage at all. Like much like you do. Here, have a butterscotch. So big plot line, the transition is here. So the black market auction. So I love that we're doing kind of a Spider-Man Homecoming thing where the damage control salvage thing is in effect here. Where all the stuff that we when we cleaned up the upstate New York mess after that whole thing happened, a lot of Avengers tech and Avengers gear and stuff is for the reaping of the rich and famous. So yeah, so it seems I want to say the Tracksuit Mafia, they're trying to reap some of those Avengers goods. A lot of things people have pointed out is like, hey, they're after a watch number 268, which is kind of a Kang the Conqueror reference, possibly. So it's
oh boy, I can't wait. I'm sorry. That was an asshole.
Yep.
Sorry.
Full Ace Ventura, buddy, right there. Yeah.
I don't know. Kang just I don't know. He might.
I don't think it's necessarily going a Kang direction, but I think there's kind of building like Kang is coming. So hey, there's the Kang number. I think they want some Stark tech. I think they're going to unlock something with that watch. There's something special about that watch. We'll see. Anyway,
what is the reference? What does 268 mean?
Well, I don't know if it's the first appearance of Kang in the Avengers or not, but it was Kang in the Fantastic Four of the Avengers. The point being, it's like a Kang issue that he appeared with the Avengers.
All right. So
it's a little thing. I just wanted to highlight in case.
No. I'm glad you did. There's always those fun little references in these things. I did before we got too far away from the Vera Farmiga, Tony Dalton subplot. I guess like I have like this, and this just kind of goes back to my issue of tone. Is I feel like Haley Steinfeld is just straight up acting in a different show than Vera Farmiga is, where Vera Farmiga is playing this very earnestly and sincerely.
Yeah,
and I just like even that opening scene, like. I will say I think the show got off to kind of like a bit of a weird start for me because that opening scene where you have the mom and dad arguing with one another when little Kate is listening.
Yeah.
And then the like, I don't know what it is, but like the performances and like the way it's shot, like it felt like I was watching a Hallmark movie.
No, Connor, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I feel like the opening scene quickly kicks into high gear with the with the attack on New York. But yeah, that first minute or so, you are absolutely like, I was feeling the same way. I was like, really, we're starting this off with divorce drama. All right, this feels very.
I don't know. Like, it's not even necessarily
the vibe I got was like 1990s family drama, honestly.
Well, and it's like because the lighting is so even and bright, and like the performances are so I don't want to say over the top, but they're very earnest and they're like really cloying. Maybe cloying is too strong of a word, but then even when we get to the end of that cold open, you have this little girl's like, "I'm going to protect us, Mom. I need a bow and arrow." And I was a little like, I mean, I don't.
Well, she
didn't
didn't say anything I can do to help, and like, okay, I want a bow and arrow.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the way it's played, like you can play that any like 3 or 4 or 5 different ways. It's like the way it's played makes for something that feels awkward. Like
the one thing I liked about it was I felt like it was a good transition into the intro.
Which the intro, by the way, the intro and credits have been really dazzling.
Arguably the best thing about the whole show so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's totally just really playing on the David Asia kind of style.
A little bit of that Francovelli kind of style too. So it's.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I just I feel like what the show's trying to do is be a live action cartoon to a certain degree visually, but I think that it's having a hard time really getting all the way there.
I don't think Clint Barton is like the character to do that with, for one.
Yeah, I guess so. And I guess when it comes to the live action cartoon, where my mind goes to is the Kate Bishop angle of it. Because I mean, in the Kate Bishop like her section of the story, she has like a fencing duel with like her soon to be stepdad at dinner, and I'm like, that happens in like cartoons and stuff, and it's like I'm on paper I'm cool with that, you know what I mean? Like,
I liked that scene primarily because of Tony Dalton, but yes, it felt off. I will agree.
This is actually why I felt like, I know we're kind of jumping around, but why I was like really kind of surprised that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I was trying to transition us before. Sorry. Yeah, so again, the point being, we find a way to put Kate in the suit with the Ronin suit, so Ronin's back on the table, and now a problem Clint has to deal with, which leads us into episode 2.
All right, so Dragon, would you kindly tell me the name of episode 2?
Hide and Seek.
All right, thank you.
So I'm sorry, Connor, would you like to continue with your fencing point?
Oh, well, yeah, in this scene, like, so the thing that's kind of tough about the adapting the Matt Fraction David Asia comics is that they are so comic booky in a very quintessential way that's very hard to pinpoint down. Like, they are doing a thing that comic books do better than any other medium, and it's like striking a perfect tone between you believing what's happening and being completely ridiculous, where it is emotionally captivating and you are invested and you're so into it, and also there's a dog called Pizza Dog, and also, like, you know what I mean, like it's got stuff like that. I think Grant Morrison also is like the master of doing stuff like that, where it's ridiculous, but the ridiculousness adds to the experience.
Yeah, that was Morrison's kind of trick of the trade. He loves it, particularly with Superman. It worked at its best. But
and I think Matt Fraction is doing that in a sort of lesser insane way, but still kind of hitting those same beats where those are like my favorite. That's my favorite thing you can do with a comic book, and so in this, like, they're trying to adapt that. It's a little hard to do that in live action, because. And I like this in theory, where you have the fencing scene where it's like, oh, we're gonna have dinner with your mom's new fiance, and they're gonna get married. We don't know when they're getting married, but I imagine sometime soon. And Kate Bishop doesn't like him because I guess we don't have a reason, but then what happens? So they're gonna fence each
He's
other,
stepdad,
right?
man. That's reason
Very
enough,
simple. It's like
honestly.
it's not her dad, and she doesn't know this
Yeah.
guy at all, and now she
I mean,
suspects him of being a murderer, so it doesn't help.
I mean, I guess so. I don't know. Like I don't know. I'll get into that later. But the point is, they get into a fencing thing like right at dinner. Like that is a comic booky thing, and I actually like the way that part of it is adapted. The problem is when they start talking, like it's like this weird, like shrill, like childish kind of like she is. Damn it, she is so determined to point out that he's lying, that he's hiding his power levels. Damn it, like what? Huh? Like considering like the first episode, I thought the action sequences were really claustrophobic and weren't really connecting well. I thought the action scenes in the second episode, particularly the fencing stuff, was shot really well and it was effective, and it was kind of I think barred by some weak dialogue.
Okay. Well, let me defend the Tony Dalton stuff, because I actually am really on board with Tony Dalton as this possibly very shady dude who might possibly be the big bad of the season, but who's also a stepfather who's earnestly trying to connect with his stepdaughter, even though she doesn't really want to have anything to do with it.
That
Dragon, do you get that from Dalton?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know, it's almost like, what if Lalo had like a niece that he really wanted to impress? You know what I mean?
But I like that they are conveying the whole, like, this is a guy who's, he's definitely up to some shady stuff. So there's a question of how much of that is he just trying to manipulate the connection so like she'll be placated versus actually wanting to make the connection.
But to me, I do feel like on some level there is an earnestness to it, even if it is for a manipulative means.
I would agree with that. I mean, the fact that he actually read that whole stepdad book.
That's what I'm saying.
I love that
runner. Stepdad book got me. That's what got me on the whole thing.
The stepdad book cracks me up so much. But again, why would he read a stepdad book? I mean, he's kind of used to being a step ahead of the other guy. But yeah, by the same token, he did read it all the way through it, though. So perhaps, why would he go to such
If you think about it, this is a character who, he's not just a stepdad. He's a stepdad who's essentially replacing a father, a beloved father, who got killed in the MCU's equivalent to 9/11.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's very, very rocky tension there. Like, I mean, as someone who unfortunately does have to deal with some pretty shitty situations, much, much, much worse than this, depending on how big it goes.
Well, again, MCU 9/11 is kind of hard to compare yourself to, Tiki. So, yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying, I get the stepfather thing. I get why she would have such resentment towards it, especially in the MCU 9/11 of it all.
And I don't know, for me, I guess this is just kind of coming down to just, personal experience, but I don't know, like my parents got divorced when I was in middle school, and it was, one of those the worst day of my life was when I found out my parents were getting divorced. And I remember my parents both got re-engaged, to other people, and then got remarried. And both of my parents got remarried in the span of a month.
Wow!
I found out my dad surprised me that he proposed to my stepmom. When I was on vacation or on a trip, and then I came back and my dad was like, "Surprise! I'm engaged to your stepmom," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then when's the wedding? Oh, in a month. So it's
wow!
I get all of that, and so maybe this is just me being an older guy who's had time to. I guess I'm not an older guy. I'm 26, but I've had time to process all that. But even when it was happening, I kind of understood that my parents have their own lives. They
right.
I know
right.
I know. I mean, maybe Kate didn't know that her mom was even dating someone else, but beyond that, though, it's I kind of have this sensitivity to this subject matter, because it's I don't know, I love my stepdad, I love my stepmom, and it's I know how hard it is for them to come on in, and so it's when
I
when we're-
guess
so
part of
when it
it might
comes to
be
me
just
where it's
because
like-
I do have very shitty experiences. Like I wish I had good relationships with my
Okay.
step.
And-
Okay, well, look. Regardless, I think the point is, she knows that she saw him at the auction. She knows unequivocally this guy is up to no good. She already just doesn't like. She's uncomfortable with the situation, but now she knows. Okay, this guy is hiding something, and then finding very compelling evidence. He is very likely the killer.
But that's the thing though, is it's like I hope that's subverted. I really do, because it's like it would feel weird to me if it's like, I don't know, let's say you're a stepfather watching this with like your stepkid. Like this would just feel weird. You know
I
what
totally
I mean?
hear what you're saying,
Where it's
Connor. I
like,
do hear what
oh,
you're saying.
all of your suspicions about, your stepfather being a jerk, they're right. I'm like,
Well, so long as the stepfather's not a murderer, it should be fine.
but I don't know, like I'm just saying, like, yes, in this one instance, sure. But it does feel like it's like the story is rewarding her just not wanting her mom to get, remarried, because it turns out that knee-jerk reaction of wanting your mom selfishly all to yourself, that's rewarded, because it turns out the one guy she wanted turned out to be a big jerk, and it's like, wow, that kind of throws the Vera Farmiga character under the bus too. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I guess, I don't know, like if you're a parent, you should tie yourself to your child, like completely and entirely, even when they're away at college. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, Vera
right.
Farmiga raised you. She got you out of the house. She's richer beyond anyone's dream.
Dragon, are you
she can
saying
provide
Vera
for you.
Farmiga doesn't deserve love in her life?
I'm not saying that's what you're saying, Dragon. I don't mean to imply.
Are you saying Vera Farmiga doesn't deserve love beyond the motherly love?
God.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, so the point being, I do love the dramatic reveal though. The butterscotch. That's how she unequivocally knows. Okay, that he was at the scene. He has one of his butterscotches. With like the Armand, Armand the third butterscotch. Like, oh God, he was there. He killed him.
I'm calling it now. It's a red herring. Timothy Dalton is a red. Oh wait, it's not Timothy Dalton. Oh shoot, who is it?
I know we used to have those.
That's an easy mistake to make, Connor. Don't feel bad.
It's Tony Dalton.
Yeah, Tony Dalton.
Tony Dalton. Doggone it! I swore I wouldn't make that mistake.
I know we all. Don't worry, we all
he's
been there. I mean, it's the first thing you think of. Like, wouldn't it be great if he was related to Timothy Dalton?
He's a dashing middle-aged man with a mustache. I can't. You know what I mean?
They're two good-looking guys, though. I can see them as brothers. I don't know.
One was even James Bond. All right, they're suave.
Yeah.
I can't remember the point I was getting at, but he's really
all right.
good.
Dragon, hold on, Dragon. You know that iconic moment from Dexter season 3 where Miguel Prado is to Dexter like, "But you gotta come in and have a beer," I say.
Yeah.
I could totally see Tony Dalton saying that to Timothy Dalton.
Well, especially if you were Lalo, but yes.
But Timothy, you gotta come in and have a beer.
But I think he's a red herring. I'm calling it now. Him having a Werther's original or whatever in his pocket, he could be like, "Hey, he was my uncle. I have a bunch of his candies in my pockets." Calling it now. I'm putting money on it.
He did take the sword though. We saw that, and it basically the question of like, I don't think we're gonna get an autopsy, but it's like,
I want him to be the villain just because I know the actor can play a villain really well and a charismatic one at that. So I don't know.
Right. All right.
Can we get to the ending? Because who the hell is that, and why should I care? And I don't know.
How many times do we have to go over this, Tiki, for the umpteenth time?
What?
This is Echo.
Oh God.
Oh.
Yes. So Echo's the villain.
I don't care.
Was that Olivia Munn? Who was that?
No, I don't know. I don't know the actor. I can't remember the actress's name, but it's not Olivia Munn. It's so we introduce.
I just like Dragon. You tell me about these characters, and when they pop up, like, how am I supposed to know that that's the character you're talking about? I don't know.
Well, we did a trailer breakdown where I spent like 5 minutes saying the lady right there in the same shot as her.
All right, fair enough. That's on me. All
That's
right.
my point.
That's
we
on
talked
me,
about
Dragon.
the spin-off.
Dragon, we do a lot of those trailer breakdowns.
And
Not
then
every
we did
detail sticks in my mind.
And then we did the Disney Plus day where I did this on a diagram practically.
Oh dear God. Okay.
Okay, so one small more because now we're finally in the show. So
Do you care? Well, yeah, John Kelly, and of course I care about Wilson Fisk.
So that's the connect, Tiki. So Echo is getting a spin-off. We have confirmed this. Also, we have lost visual, but I'm gonna
I
keep
know,
going.
I'm on
there.
that. I'm on that.
So anyway, so Echo. So I gotta tell you, given the fact we are getting the Echo spin-off, I think it's looking more and more likely. Believe me, I do not want to get my hopes up here, folks, but given the fact that Echo's origin very deeply rooted in the Kingpin, and the fact that Kingpin was even in the Matt Fraction book, he was supposed to be at that auction, but we kind of wrote him out for the element of surprise, quite possibly. I think what's happening here, I'm a betting man. If Wilson Fisk is in this show, this is how we're going to do it. The Kingpin.
I'm so excited.
The Kingpin has tasked essentially his adoptive daughter. That's essentially what Echo is. With a really complicated reason for why she was adopted. Not that complicated, just like, oh, it's so sinister. The Kingpin has tasked her with commanding the tracksuit mafia for the robbery of the Avengers compound, booty. And basically then, Ronan's back in town, get revenge on Ronan, because that guy, he wiped out half the competition. It'll be a show of force, that sort of stuff. Basically put me back on top. Or, basically we got to take care of Ronan because he killed all the criminals, like half the criminals when, the world was during that 5-year period. So the point being, we just introduced Echo, who's basically a death character, which will possibly parallel what Hawkeye's going through with the hero.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's why the sound was all off, Tiki. She was feeling, and that's why the tracksuit mafia, instead of doing their bro things, we have them now, so she can read the lips. That's why she sign language.
All right, really quick with some comments here. John Kelling this comment is just amusing to me. John Kelling just says, "When I was a boy." And then Sir John says Fisk is the most huggable sociopath in all of movies. And that might very well be true.
I'd buy it.
I also think
God, Dragon, what if there was a Wilson Fisk meet and greet?
I would love that so much.
That'd
be the coolest
What if it was in
ever.
an art gallery and you got to pose with Rabbit in a snowstorm?
Oh my god!
Yeah, there you go. There's the Wilson Fisk.
No kid would get it, but I love it.
Yep. There's the Wilson Fisk meet and greet right there. All right. Anyway.
So twisted, given what happened to him as a child, would be great.
I wouldn't want a hug from Fisk. I've seen him hug Spider-Man.
Yep, yeah, the big, whole hug thing.
Okay, am I picturing like a Voldemort hug? If either of you know what that is,
I have no idea what that means.
Connor, do you know about the Voldemort hug?
No.
Okay, all right. I won't bore you guys with the details. It's a Harry Potter
Did
meme.
it happen in the movies?
Yes, it happened in the movies.
Was it the part where Harry hugged Voldemort?
No, it's the part where Voldemort gives Malfoy a hug near the end of the last movie.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
And he's just like, Draco, my child. Come. Oh god, it's super awkward.
I got a bit of a hot take. I think the 6th Harry Potter movie is one of the best. That movie's great.
Oh, I don't agree with you about that. I love the book, but I don't like that movie.
It's so good.
All right. Well, that's an entirely different conversation. Anyways.
But, getting to the Echo reveal, I do love, Hawkeye pulling kind of a Black Widow move where, he kind of sets up, he needs the set. After he gets the suit back from the LARPing scene, he goes to the tracksuit bros. And, he basically wants to, settle things with the boss. Most like, I don't know if his plan was like to tell him, okay, look, I'm Ronan, you get your revenge, in which I'll just take all you out right now. He's trying to broker peace in some way, shape, or form so he can go home for Christmas. It's essentially what he tries there via the Blackwood. I let myself get captured so I can get kind of a dialogue going, which obviously Kate kind of screws the pooch on that one. A little wrinkle in the negotiation and the plan on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best scene in the 2 episodes.
It's pretty good.
Scene where he's being interrogated,
and it feels very on brand from the book.
Yeah, I think that's the I think that that's the part where Clint's kind of jaded, like, okay, I don't really want to be doing this, but I feel like that's the part where that kind of works the best, and it kind of does, like, you're aware of the stakes, but it's funny, and the tracksuit guys talking and like their bro dialogue it finally feels like it's a joke in a scene, as opposed to like when they first start saying bro, I'm like, is that
like in the comic, it's funny when they do that. Is this supposed to be funny?
Yeah.
Because I'm not really laughing, and I don't know if it's even like trying to be funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't get the humor in the Tracksuit Mafia.
Well,
for
I think
me.
it's going to be more clear as it goes forward. If I'm a betting man.
but with
All
that,
right.
but with that scene, I thought it clicked. It all kind of finally clicked together.
Yes. So let's see. So should we talk about the action? I mean, overall, the action's been really great too. We mentioned that in the first episode with Kate, kind of in the.
I think the action's been okay. I wouldn't call it great.
Well, look, it's no hallway fight, but I'm saying it's been fun. Like the whole Molotov cocktail fight was kind of fun, like
Dragon, it's the one throw that we saw in the trailers. I mean, I don't know.
But the fire extinguisher gag was really like, you think it's going to extinguish the things, right? No, my God, it just bounces all over the room.
I guess.
I thought the fights have been a little, okay. Nothing too great, but I like a couple moments in them. I like when Kate punches that wine glass and it knocks
That was
guy in the
fun.
head.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that part. I think the issue I have with a lot of the first episode is the fights feel very claustrophobic. Like they built this set to shoot multiple scenes in, and like the least, on the priorities list, like, okay, top priority, have this cool auction scene. Second priority, have this stealth scene where that one guy's trying to find Kate, but she's like, sneaking around. And then, we need to have like a big like punch up fight. You know what I mean? Like that's it. This set is built least for that, and I think like in terms of how kind of choppily edited and that stuff is like. But I do think for example, like the stealth scene was really cool. I thought, and a lot of that comes down to Haley Steinfeld's body language and facial expressions and how she's trying to very subtly traverse the aisles of wine, but.
Yeah.
But I do think the action scenes I think picked up in the second episode. I thought the Molotov cocktail scene was pretty fun, but I would agree with Tiki that I don't think there's not really been like that one action scene or scenes that have.
And
really
I think the car chase is
impressed me.
going to be that scene.
Right, but I'm surprised we did not get in the first two episodes. Just given
I
how
am
much they've
too,
been-
honestly.
So that's kind of refreshing, though. It's like, okay, well, we're not there yet.
Uh-huh.
As long as it's not the last episode, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully convinced that the car chase scene is definitely going to give me my fix when it comes to like nice kinetic action.
Right, I loved her apartment, by the way, like on top of the Hardy slice.
I do. Yeah, I love that sort of lived-in feel as well. That was a nice little detail.
Yep. Let's see. By the way, so John Collins pointed out a lot of the great banter and dialogue with during the interrogation with the tracksuit bros. Like, the guys, I can see through the bag, and then later on, it's like the rundown bad guy layers is so hard to find nowadays. It's just the fact that like Hawkeye like makes this little derisive comment about really this is the best you could do. Is hey, it's hard finding a good layer. Like why are you saying it like that? It's just so legit. I think of all the warehouse gags we've seen over the years, it's all the reused warehouses calling it out like that. It's pretty fun.
That's true. That's fun.
I like that bit of dialogue.
All right,
And-
we
and
need to talk about the LARPing guys.
Yes, let's talk about that's the last.
Just very quickly, I wanted to make one last comment about
Sure, Connor. Sure.
that gentrification comment. Is that I've been really kind of getting annoyed with Marvel's obviously MCU humor has been like a thing people have been saying for a long time, but like I feel like specifically this year they've been taking a pivot towards Deadpool style humor, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Like when Yolanda or whatever Yelena was like saying like, oh, why do you flip your hair? You do this thing where you flip your hair. Like, shut up. Or like when like all of a sudden Sam Wilson developed this character trait of the guy who notices the things because he's also watched the movies where he's like, oh, you're doing that staring thing. Oh, you're doing the staring thing.
Yeah.
Zemo, you do the head tilt thing. Why you do that? Like, shut up. Get out of here with that crap. It's like so Deadpoolish. And like,
where's the poetry in your soul, Connor? Come on.
Oh God.
But with that, like that was kind of like self-aware humor that was funny. Like I liked that aspect. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was just completely like being completely self-aware, but it was like self-aware enough, and I thought it was funny banter, and I appreciated that.
Right.
Anyways, LARPing.
Yes. So So yeah, this is really clever. This is kind of a fun setup. Where okay, a firefighter. I love the fact that the firefighters and the cops were into LARPing. That was a really refreshing idea.
I wish that they would have highlighted that a little bit more because it was mostly just kind of a background detail. But I did really like that element of it. It felt very New York.
That's the whole reason he does the LARPing, Tiki, because he respects the boys in blue and the FDNY, because he didn't want to like embarrass them and everything. He says, "Okay, I'll do the ceremony." So they're just taking it from the guy.
Right. Unfortunately, though, I still think this is a little bit of like, oh, look how quirky and weird LARPing is, guys. Let's have a scene where we're just kind of gonna show how quirky and weird LARPers are. Aren't they weird? And honestly, the fact that they were police and boys in blue, like they kind of made it a little bit more like I don't know, man.
I don't think it's as bad as you're making it out to be, Tiki. I think
it's
they
not. I am being a little hyperbolic about it, but I still like
I've seen it blown out. I think them mocking LARPers and other things way worse than this. I mean, this is a lot. Really, this is refreshingly tame compared to
I
that.
did like the interaction with Hawkeye and the guy who had the suit.
Yeah, Grills. So again, that's his neighbor from the comic, which they've adapted here to just be a firefighter he runs into. So I think Grills is going to come back, perhaps. So we'll see.
I did like him quite a bit. I liked his I liked his demeanor about being humble about meeting Hawkeye and letting him getting the victory. And I like that element. I'm not gonna say this was a bad plot line. I'm just saying this felt like a filler plot from an Iron Fist episode.
I do love just the line, "I fought Thanos and I'm doing this." Just like this, I fought Thanos and now I got to take it from the guy LARPing right now.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this whole sequence. Because it's like I feel like I'm somewhere in between you guys because like I couldn't tell if this was LARP appreciation or LARP degradation. You know what I mean? Like,
I say appreciation.
Because it was one of those things where Hawkeye just feels like as a character he's embarrassed to even be here, and like they're kind of like making jokes at LARPing's expense, but it also feels like it was like put in here because somebody must have like known a friend who does LARPing and was like, huh, this is kind of cute, and like you know what I mean. So it, like there was like a little bit of affection. Like I was a little confused. I think it went on way too long, but I was. I don't know. Like this is one of those things where I don't even really. It definitely got a response out of me, but I have no idea what that response even is. So I guess it's confusion, but it was interesting.
John Kelling says he didn't see it as mocking LARPing, just took it as Clint having to do extra shit simply to get back a seat. But that's still filler. I mean, what you said right there, John Kelling, I'm sorry, I don't mean to use your words against you like a lawyer, but literally what you said right there, like it's just extra shit to get the suit back.
And it would be a funny misadventure.
Well, if he can just grab the suit, then he'll be out of there. We need to make him late for Christmas.
Well, and what you're saying,
Dragon, we have 4 more episodes to make him late.
That's what I'm saying. He can't get on the plane. We got to stop him from getting on the plane.
Now we're gonna make a get on the plane joke. All right.
But what you're saying though, like, is I think I would be more like laughing with this if he was. If all this was just from Clint's perspective, where all of these misadventures just keep getting in the way, but
right,
putting the buck between him and Kate, so it just kind of feels like, oh, I guess we're just gonna watch this for a little while.
I don't know. I guess where I'm coming down on Connor is I'm still sorry. I guess where I'm coming down on it is that I can still get into what Clint's headspace in those scenes. So I'm not really feeling the disconnect. That's just where I'm at on it.
I mean, more of it, and I'll say I feel like the tone would be more consistent if there was more of it.
Well, I feel like I understand what Clint is thinking, but I think that just as an experience of like, I think if you didn't break POV, I feel like I'm not talking necessarily about the character. I'm speaking more about like the kind of the identity of the show. Is this a comedy of errors where, damn it, things keep getting in my way, I just want to get home for Christmas? Or is this a show about
something more about your family and like you know what I mean, like where it's like Kate's whole thing is like this is a big deal for her, and for Clint, he could not care less. This is just something he's got to do because he feels obligated. And it's like I feel like it should pick an avenue, and it's trying to have it both ways.
I think it's going to take at least to the halfway point to really see if they're.
I mean, the halfway point's next week, Dragon.
That's what I'm saying. I think we're going to need to wait an episode to really see where they're going to stick. Because right now, I'm really of the opinion they're sticking to what they're sticking to. Again, it's a comedy of errors getting in the way for Hawkeye. That's kind of where I'm at on. But it depends where if we make progress in the Kay Bishop story to see where they're going to land on that. Though, if they are going to be bifurcated for the rest of it, or if it's just going to dovetail into that Hawkeye story, which so far is what I think it is right now.
Yeah, it's just like what I'm remembering about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. As I remember those first 2 episodes, I was like, wow, that was bad. And then I got told, just wait until we get more episodes. It's not over yet. But what's frustrating is whenever it's like I watched WandaVision for those first 3 episodes and I was like, this is great. Nobody was saying, well, just wait till it's over. You know what I mean? Like, so it's weird because I feel like I understand what this show is. It's given me like 2 entire hours of pretty consistently structured television. And I feel like I can call it like I'm seeing it. And I think they're going to continue with this structure.
John Killing makes a very funny observation. Guys, I got it. Hawkeye is basically just Home Alone 2 with Avengers.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Put that on the poster.
With the obvious lack of one notable cameo.
Yeah, well, of course.
Oh man, if Daniel Stern,
yeah,
it would make all of this better.
Oh my god.
Joe Pesci came out of retirement for The Irishman, then again for Hawkeye.
Could you imagine if Joe Pesci just came out of retirement to play that character again?
Oh my god! Basically, the last episode of Hawkeye is Kate and Clint stopping the wet bandits.
Oh my god! Yes.
Or I guess technically the sticky bandits. I don't know what moniker they're going in on a third kind of appearance, but like some band.
Dude, seriously though, just give me that. Just the wet bandits for an Avengers villains. Oh,
yeah. Forget the wrecking crew that we haven't done yet. Let's do the wet bandits.
All right. Anyways.
They're so old they call themselves the Dusty Bandits.
There we go. There we go. I like that.
I
Yeah.
think you can 86 the banner.
All right.
So we're kind of amping down right now. And also, before we go with Tiki, we should mention,
yes,
as you insist on doing it, the poll.
Yeah, folks. So every week, right after the episode airs, so roughly Wednesday morning, we are going to be putting up a poll on the community page, and Dragon, instead of stars, we're going to be ranking them 1 out of 5 jingle bells. Because
that's going to solve our problems when tallying it up at the end.
Just
sure,
to be all festive. All festive,
yeah.
Dragon. So yeah, folks, and the way we're doing this is just vote 1 out of 5. Obviously, 1 being the lowest score, 5 being the highest score. And at the end of the season, we'll tally everything up and tell you guys what episodes rank the highest. We'll basically be giving a ranking 1 out of 6 in terms of like where each episode stacks up for you guys. So I'm very excited to have that sort of interaction. All right.
No.
And Dragon, I don't really think we need to do final thoughts. I feel like our thoughts are pretty much out there.
Yeah, we don't do that now.
Okay.
We thank the folks. So thank the folks.
All right, so big thanks to John Kelling, Beowulf, and this guy's new, so I hope he had a good time, Sir John. So, you guys all rock. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And and that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes. Till the next installment, calls for the draw. Mano a mano. Just plus. And us.
Lucky the pizza dog.
Oh, look at me. I'm Kate Bishop. I'm going to challenge my stepfather to a duel over the dinner table. I'm